It's Sunday night. You're sitting at the kitchen table with your laptop open. You and your partner just got into it. Again, about money. You make $100,000 combined. You both have good jobs. You live in a normal city, not New York or San Francisco. You thought you'd be comfortable by now, but you just checked the account and there's $600 until next Friday. Rent's paid, daycare's paid, but the car needs new tires and you have no idea where that money is coming from. Your partner's in the other room. The TV's on. Neither of you wants to keep fighting, but you're both thinking the same thing. We make six figures. Why does it feel like we're broke? If you've ever had this exact moment, if you've ever looked at your combined income and thought, where is it all going? This video is going to answer that question. And I need to tell you up front. Today's scenario is composite based on real budget data I've analyzed from dozens of families. Names are changed, cities are changed, but the math is real. Hit subscribe if you make decent money but still feel like you're drowning. My name is Sarah, and I've been exactly where you are. Partner and I combined made over six figures, felt broke every single month. Took me years to figure out what was actually happening. And what I discovered made me angry, because it's not your fault. Let's start with the number that everyone sees. $100,000. Combined household income. You're in the top 25% of American households. That's supposed to mean something, right? That's supposed to mean you've made it. Here's the thing, though. That $100,000 isn't what actually shows up in your bank account. Not even close. So let's do the math together. And I want you to really pay attention here, because this is where the illusion starts to crack. Let's say you make $55,000 and your partner makes $45,000. That's $100,000 gross. But gross is not what you get to spend. Gross is what the system uses to make you feel successful while they take their cut. First, federal income tax. For a married couple filing jointly making $100,000 in 2026, you're looking at about $10,500 in federal income tax after standard deduction. That's if you're not itemizing, which most people aren't anymore. Then there's state income tax. Now, this varies wildly depending on where you live. But let's say you're in a state with a 5% effective rate. That's another $5,000 gone. FICA, Social Security, and Medicare, that's 7.65% of your gross income. And both of you pay it. That's $7,650. No way around that one. So just in taxes, you're down $23,150. Your $100,000 is now $76,850. And we haven't even gotten to the expenses yet. Think about that for a second. Nearly a quarter of your income disappears before you even see it. Let that sink in. Now, you might have health insurance coming out of your paychecks, family plan through your employer. Even with the company covering part of it, you're probably paying $300 to $500 per month out of your check. Let's call it $400. That's $4,800 a year. You're at $72,050 take home. That's $6,004 per month hitting your account. $6,000 sounds like a lot. And it would be if you lived in 1970. But you don't. So here's where it gets really interesting. And by interesting, I mean infuriating. Let's talk about your fixed costs, the non-negotiable monthly expenses that you have to pay just to participate in modern middle-class life. Housing first. Because housing is where most people's dreams go to die. The median rent for a two-bedroom apartment in a decent school district in a mid-tier American city is about $1,800 a month in 2026. If you bought a house, your mortgage, property tax, insurance, and HOA fees are probably in that same range or higher. Let's say $1,800. That's 30% of your take-home. Right there. Now here's what nobody tells you. In 1970, the median family spent about 22% of their income on housing. Just 22%. Today, you're spending 30% if you're lucky. In high cost of living areas, people are spending 40, 50, even 60% of their income on housing. So you're already behind where your parents were. And you haven't even fed your kids yet. Childcare, oh man, childcare. If you have one kid in daycare, you're looking at $1,200 to $1,500 per month. On average. Got two kids? Double it. But let's say you've got one child. That's $1,400 a month. Your parents didn't have this expense. You know why? Because one parent was home. That was the backup plan. You activated the backup plan just to keep up. We're at $3,200 gone. You've got $2,804 left. Transportation. You both work, so you probably need two cars, or at least one reliable car with significant costs. Car payment, insurance, gas, maintenance. Let's say you're being smart about this. One car is paid off. The other has a modest payment. Between both cars, you're spending $600 a month total. Now you're at $2,204. Groceries. You're feeding a family. Even if you're being careful, cooking at home, avoiding restaurants, you're spending $600 to $800 a month. Let's call it $700, down to $1,504. Utilities, electric, water, trash, internet, cell phones for both of you. That's easily $350 a month. You're at $1,154. Student loans. The average American with student debt pays about $400 a month. Maybe you've got less. Maybe you've got more. Let's say $300 combined between you two. You're at $854. We haven't talked about credit card debt, medical expenses, clothing, household items, kids' activities, emergency repairs, or the fact that you're supposed to be saving for retirement. And you've got $854 a month for all of that. $854 out of $100,000. Let me say that again. You make $100,000 a year, and after the basics, you have $854 a month left. That's $10,248 a year. That's 10% of your gross income for everything else. Check this out. That car needs new tires? $600. There goes most of your margin for the month. Someone gets sick and you hit your deductible? There goes 3 months of margin. Your kid needs braces? Hope you weren't planning on saving anything this year. You're not living paycheck to paycheck because you're bad with money. You're living paycheck to paycheck because the math doesn't work. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Sarah, but this is just how it is. This is just the cost of living in 2026. Everyone's dealing with this. And that's where you're wrong, because not everyone is dealing with this. Let me show you something that's going to make you angry. In 1970, the median household income was about $9,870. Adjusted for inflation, that's roughly $76,000. And that was one income. One. That single income could buy a median-priced home. The median home price in 1970 was $23,400. Adjusted for inflation, that's about $180,000 today. The median home price in 2026, over $400,000. More than double. That single income in 1970 supported a family with one parent at home. Healthcare was largely employer-covered with minimal out-of-pocket costs. College was affordable enough that you could work a summer job and pay for most of your tuition. And here's the kicker. They had savings. The personal savings rate in 1970 was around 12% of disposable income. Today, it's under 4%. So what happened? What happened is that when families started having two incomes instead of one, the market adjusted. Housing prices got bid up because suddenly everyone had twice the purchasing power. Or so they thought. Elizabeth Warren calls this the two-income trap. And it's not a theory. She studied over 2,000 families who filed for bankruptcy. You know what she found? Families with two working parents were more likely to go bankrupt than single-income families. Think about that. Working twice as hard, bringing home two paychecks, and you're more likely to lose everything. It's rigged. The system is designed so that two incomes become the baseline requirement for what one income used to buy. And once you need both incomes, you're trapped. Because now you can't go back. You bought the house that requires two incomes. You took on the car payments that require two incomes. Your fixed costs expanded to consume everything you earn. And here's what really gets me. They, the banks, the lenders, the entire financial system, they look at your combined $100,000 and tell you that you can afford a $400,000 mortgage. They run the numbers and say, yes, you qualify. But what they don't tell you is that you can only afford it if nothing goes wrong. If neither of you loses your job, if nobody gets sick, if your car doesn't break down, if your kid doesn't need braces, if life doesn't happen, you're operating at 100% capacity with zero margin for error. And they sold you this setup knowing exactly what they were doing. Now let's talk about what this does to you too. Because money stress doesn't just hurt your bank account. It destroys relationship. You're both working full time. You're both exhausted. You're both wondering why you can't get ahead when you're doing everything right. So what happens? You fight. She thinks you're spending too much on lunches at work. You think she's spending too much on subscription services. She's resentful that she's working full time and still has to worry about money. You're resentful that you're the higher earner but can't make decisions without a conversation. Neither of you is wrong. You're both just trapped in a system that requires two incomes to survive and then makes you blame each other when it's not enough. Here's what I see constantly. Couples making good money, both working hard, both stressed, both feeling like the other person doesn't understand how hard they're working. And underneath it all is this question that neither of you wants to say out loud. Is this it? Is this what we're working for? To be broke with six figures? I've been there. My partner and I sat at that kitchen table more times than I can count. We made the charts, ran the numbers, fought about every subscription and every purchase. And it didn't get better until we stopped blaming each other and started blaming the system. Because once you see that the game is rigged, you stop playing by their rules. So here's what you do. And I'm going to give you 3 steps that you can start this weekend. Step 1, the truth talk. This weekend, preferably Sunday morning when you're both rested, you sit down together. No phones, no TV, just the two of you and your actual numbers. Here's the script. We need to see the real numbers. No shame, no blame, just truth. Pull up the last 3 months of expenses. Every transaction. And I mean every transaction. Categorize everything. Housing, childcare, transportation, food, debt, subscriptions, everything. Then calculate your actual take-home versus your actual fixed costs. Use the formula I just walked you through. The goal is not to judge each other. The goal is to see clearly that you're not bad with money. The system is broken, and you're going to stop trying to fix yourselves and start fixing your system. By the end of this conversation, you should have one shared spreadsheet with real numbers that you both agree on. This is your baseline. This is your truth. Step 2, the one number strategy. Over the next 30 days, you pick one expense category to optimize together. Together, not you pick one and spring it on your partner. You choose it as a team. And here's the critical part. Don't pick small stuff. Don't pick coffee or Netflix or the $12 subscription you barely use. That's not going to move the needle. Pick one of the big 3. Housing, transportation, or childcare. Can you refinance your mortgage and save $200 a month? Can you move closer to work and cut your commute costs? Can you go down to one car for a trial period? Can you adjust your work hours to reduce daycare days? I'm not saying this is easy. I'm saying it's possible. And if you can find $200 to $500 per month in one of these categories, you've just given yourselves breathing room. By week 4, you should have identified at least one change you're going to test. Even if you don't implement it immediately, you know where your leverage is. Step 3, build your foundation. Over the next 90 days, your goal is to save $2,000. Just $2,000. That's not 6 months of expenses. That's not a full emergency fund. It's the absolute minimum buffer that will change how your brain works. Research shows that having $2,000 in emergency savings increases your financial well-being by 21%. $2,000. Because it moves you out of pure survival mode. Every dollar you save is one less dollar you're fighting about. Every dollar you save is one less thing you have to put on a credit card when life happens. Set up a separate savings account. Label it Freedom Fund. Automate $100 per week if you can. If you can't, start with $50. Just start, and here's what's going to happen. By day 90, you'll have $2,000 or close to it. And for the first time in years, when the car needs tires, you won't panic. You'll just handle it. That's the beginning of your one income foundation. Living on one income, building wealth with the other. We'll talk more about that in another video. But it starts with $2,000. Here's the thing, though. And I need you to hear this. You're not failing. The system failed you. $100,000 isn't what it was. The rules changed, costs exploded, wages didn't keep up. And nobody told you. But now you know. Now you see it clearly. The couple from today, the composite case I described, 6 months in, they've saved $4,000. They stopped fighting about money because they built a system they both believe in. They're not rich, but they're not drowning anymore either. I lived this. My partner and I made good money on paper, felt broke in reality. Everything changed when we stopped treating both incomes as permanent and started building around one. You can do this. It's not easy. It's not fast. But it's possible. And you're not alone. If this opened your eyes, if this made you see your situation differently, hit that like button. It tells me this is helping. And drop a comment. Tell me your household income and your city. Let's see the real numbers. Because I guarantee you're not the only one feeling this way. When you see other people commenting their numbers, you're going to realize just how broken this system is for everyone. Share this video with your partner. Watch it together tonight. Have the truth talk this weekend. You make good money. Now let's make it work for you instead of against you.